This news report, second stimulus check update, and second stimulus package update for December 17th. According to the New York Times, the $900 billion pandemic relief deal is starting to take shape. Senator Mitch McConnell, the majority leader, privately made the case to Republicans on Wednesday for a stimulus deal that includes another round of direct payments to struggling Americans, suggesting that delivering such help could boost the party's hope of hanging on to the majority in the Senate. Top Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill appeared to be nearing a compromise that would include both another round of direct stimulus payments to Americans and additional unemployment benefits. While the details were not yet final, the package was also expected to provide billions of dollars for vaccine distribution and support for schools and small businesses. Senator John Thune of South Dakota told reporters on Wednesday that the direct payments were likely to be $600 to $700 per person. Bernie Sanders also said, "Right now we're going to do our best to get to $1,200, but this is a good start." Remember folks that Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri are two of the politicians in Congress that are pushing for $1,200 stimulus payments. Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, also said today that he will make a point to let people know they're giving away money they don't have, but won't object to the time that it takes to do this. Now before we get into the video, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the notifications bell. On this channel I was provided with the most up-to-date and reliable stimulus check updates, so be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Let's get this video to 5,000 likes if you think that Congress must pass more stimulus relief.
It does, Becky. You know, when you have Josh Hawley and Bernie Sanders on the same page, I mean, I'm with Steny Hoyer, who said, you know, we need to get a relief bill out there, even if it's a streamlined, simplified package. President Trump is saying the same thing, but that's the problem. Having been in Congress, I know, conflicting priorities. You know, you've got the blue state representatives and senators who want to get federal aid to profligate blue states. You've got the Republicans who want to protect businesses from liability. And this is how it ends up being excessively complicated. So I think they're under a lot of pressure to provide relief, given that another round of shutdowns, unfortunately, is imminent. The real stimulus is to open up again. That's what we really need. But in the meantime, they need to get direct targeted aid out to the public.
Yeah, Senator Heitkamp, let's talk a little bit about that. What we're hearing, at least at this point, is that this bill would provide stimulus.
According to Yahoo News, Mitch McConnell included $600 stimulus checks in his stimulus plan. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell came to back $600 one-off payments to Americans as part of a new wave of proposed federal stimulus relief. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's decision to support $600 stimulus payments to Americans is as part of a new round of federal stimulus relief was motivated by fears for the Senate runoff elections in Georgia. Time sources said McConnell warned fellow GOP lawmakers that Senators Kelly Loeffler and Dave Perdue were getting hammered over the payments. The Georgia runoff race, which concludes January 5th, will decide the balance of power in the Senate, determining how much of a free hand President-elect Joe Biden can expect when he takes office.
Did the Democrats mess up on this by not trying to strike a deal sooner? Because, you know, at one point, they were kind of in agreement with the administration that you were looking at a $2.4 trillion deal, something around that level. And now you're talking about less than $1 trillion. So by not striking a deal sooner, they're definitely going to have to deal with something that's much smaller than they had originally hoped for.
Yeah, I think that they couldn't strike a deal earlier because the Senate Republicans were opposed to any kind of deal earlier. You know, now everybody's going to get debt and deficit religion again, and that's going to be kind of the mantra, we can't afford it, we can't afford it. I think the real risk, Becky, is what's going to happen next year? Are we going to see any coalescing when there isn't a Georgia governor or a Georgia Senate race? Are we going to see interest in doing a bigger stimulus package? I think Fed Chair Powell definitely sent the message. This can't all be done with monetary policy. We've got to have fiscal policy that matches it. We'll see how the tea leaves the line, depending upon what happens January 5th.
Yahoo News goes on to say that Mitch McConnell has been the most stubborn force in the larger negotiations over federal stimulus relief, consistently sticking to his slimmed-down proposal of about $500 billion. The proposal will leave out direct payments, but on Wednesday, McConnell made a surprise pivot to supporting payments of about $600 to $700. Steve Mnuchin had introduced a White House proposal last week that included $600 stimulus checks, but also made a massive cut to unemployment benefits, turning off Democrats. According to The Hill, Mitch McConnell is getting much of what he wants in the next stimulus relief plan. The GOP leader isn't getting liability protection for businesses and other organizations, but McConnell himself last week proposed dropping that controversial item along with other large tranches of funding for state and local government. State and local funding was a top priority for House Speaker Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Democrats are getting $90 billion in relief for local governments, but it will be distributed by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA.
Caucus, I'm sure, and of course on Mitch McConnell from the Republican side to get something done now.
Yeah. Poor form if you don't get something done at this point, I think. Let me ask you both. The big sticking point that we've known about for months has been that the Republicans want to see this liability protection for businesses and that the Democrats want to see state and local aid. It looks like this deal, if it gets done, will have neither of those issues in it. Senator Heitkamp, what happens to the state and local economies if there is no additional aid passed, and how likely in the new Congress would there be for a deal to be cut on both sides, where both of those would be included? Is that likely, or is that just too far of a push for both sides?
You know, it's interesting, Becky. I've been saying this, that the Republicans ignore the stimulative effect of state and local employment.
Meaning that city and state leaders will have less control. Democrats say that money for housing assistance will also help ease the fiscal burdens on states. But McConnell is getting a deal a lot closer to what Democrats dismissed as the emaciated plan that he pushed in recent months. Now Elizabeth Warren gave her thoughts on the emerging $900 billion deal. She said, "This is not any place close to what is needed." Warren said Democrats have little choice but to accept a much smaller relief package than they wanted in order to get a deal. That makes for a very difficult negotiation, she said. That makes for a very difficult negotiation, she said of Mitch McConnell's staunch insistence on a targeted package below $1 trillion. She faulted the GOP leader, saying Mitch McConnell is willing to let American families walk away with nothing. The Hill goes on to report that Sanders has pushed for a new round of stimulus checks, something that would be part of the final package. But the checks will not be as large as he wished, and it would not include other provisions, including the aid to state and local governments. Sanders said on Wednesday, there is simply not enough money in the proposal to deal with the unprecedented crisis that we now face. He told CNN that we met very stiff resistance from Mitch McConnell and the Republican leadership. What we got now is not enough, but it is something. Everybody tell me who's to blame for Now folks, who do you think is to blame for holding back your second stimulus payment? Is it Mitch McConnell or Speaker Pelosi? Tell me what you think in the comments down below.